Well, welcome everyone. I got the agenda pulled up. I think kind of start with just any exciting news, greetings, things going on before we kind of move into the formal agenda. I saw Chandler posted that the bankless style KPI options are going to be launching hopefully towards the end of this week. So that's something that's exciting for everyone. Shout out to Coach Chandler, a bunch of others who have been working towards that. I think that'll be awesome. Anyone else have, I don't know, noteworthy announcements, fun, exciting things they want to mention? Cool. Well, we will kick things off. Hopefully not just for this, but I know there's a lot of excitement on the continued POAP stuff. So, is there a secret code in a POAP today?
Yeah, there is. Let's go ahead and save the secret code for towards the end of the call.
Sounds like good, that. Fruity.
I like that.
I like that.
Let's switch it up. Yeah.
I'll move it on the agenda to later in the call. All right.
These POAPs are amazing. The Cheetos is amazing. I didn't know that happened. The business cards are also amazing. The business cards, was there a prompt for us on this call? I know we were supposed to get back to you guys about this. Is this something we're going to do on this call, or is that something we'll do in the lair?
No, yeah. We can talk about it right now. So for everyone that doesn't know, the business cards are going to be sent out starting next week. So go ahead, if you don't know anything about the business cards yet, just go ahead and check out the SuperUMAN announcements on Discord. Really, you just need to be a SuperUMAN with a role. And if you're not a SuperUMAN yet, or you don't have a role yet, you have a full week to get that sorted out. And if you have any questions about how to be a SuperUMAN, just go ahead and ask us, and you'll get plenty of help. So, yeah, just choose one out of the 7 fronts, and you have 2 options for the back as well. So we really gave you a lot of customization options, and JB and Graphics have absolutely killed it. Also, we we're considering NFTs. We're not 100% yet. We definitely want to get some community feedback on that, but it's definitely something that JB and I are very interested in turning into these NFT cards.
Yeah, I think they're awesome. So thanks for folks for designing them. I'm looking forward to it. I think Vari, you were kind of commenting on kind of the, I don't know, privacy or practicality, I'd say. I think it's kind of a fun thing, but as I was thinking through it a little bit, the vast majority of our interaction is like Discord, Twitter, online, and other stuff, and it seems like the idea of an NFT kind of keeping everything online and crypto native would be pretty sweet. I've recently learned and had a building appreciation for the amount of time and effort that it takes for some of those things, but I think it would be really cool to be able to have those digitalized, I guess, and would probably be, I'd venture to say, more used in that manner.
I'm curious if you can expand just a little bit when you say NFTs, like what does that mean exactly? Because I'm not understanding exactly.
Yeah, I can jump in on that. So my thought with the kind of business cards for making NFT would be that all of the superhumans would be issued an NFT, and what we can do on OpenSea is make a collection, and then all of things that ever are can be in that collection. So someone could go to that kind of wall of UMA and see who's participated in there, and then of course everyone has like an NFT that represented their place. And if we do it once, there's also the opportunity to do one each year or do certain versions of it. But I think just having kind of like a wall of everyone who's participated would be really cool. And I think something a lot of places would jack as well, if we did that.
I see. Sounds pretty cool. I didn't. Maybe we could expand on that with the roles as well. Maybe if we get our roles program, we could have NFTs for the roles as something like that. I don't know, just to go along with it, maybe.
Yeah. We can get pretty tech with it as well. It's just more of, yeah, they would all live in the same place anyway, so it wouldn't be too hard to add those details. Oh, and then of course we could do this on Polygon or another sidechain, so it would be like nothing versus on Ethereum.
Any other opinions or comments on that? I think it's a really cool idea.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll move along then. I think just kind of, I don't want to say wrapping up, but anyone else want to call out? I know there's kind of a increasing list of activity week over week with more people joining and lots of good things going on. I don't want to spend too much time on the call. I think for folks, can read the agenda. Otherwise, I'll kind of go rapid fire with a handful of these, but I think most people have seen some of the good stuff. Anyone have particular call outs or shout outs for folks or things that they wanted to bring some additional attention to?
Yeah. So I just started. I spoke about it earlier in one of the earlier calls, but I'm onboarding. Well, so Crush is joining us as like a recruit, and she's going to be help like. Well, I don't know exactly what she's going to do just yet. She's trying to find her way into the SuperUMANs, but she's somebody that I'm going to be working with to try to help onboard. So, like if you see that maybe she needs some help, like I said, she's still a recruit though. So this is just something that came up today. So
Yeah, that's awesome, Poopster. I was just glancing. Is Crush on the call?
yeah,
No.
yes, yeah. She may have changed her name. No, yeah, it's the yeah, she's here.
Cool. Well, welcome, Crush. I think it's cool to see Rathers and a handful of others, just the recent impact. I know even in the 2 weeks I was gone, kind of taking over and running with stuff and looking forward to having more people jump in. I think appreciating some of the perspective. I think Henry from you and Coach from your text on continuing to focus on having it permissionless and removing some of the barriers and be more decentralized is a great focus and something I think we can continue to be intentional about while obviously supporting and helping each other. So. All right, we'll move along then. Lots of other fun and good stuff happening. On the announcements front, I'll touch on a couple things. Others feel free to chime in. I'm going off the awesome agenda from Fruity and Henry and others. So I mentioned bankless KPI options, hopefully launching this week. I think we talked through the SuperUMAN business cards. Maybe this is a good time to transition a little bit, Henry, to your proposal. I know one of the comments here was if you had not received the right amount of UDAO from last week to message Hitton and let him know what you were expecting. Maybe I'll pause and take a few minutes just to talk through. I think Clayton, you had kind of commented too if someone wanted to help with the overall process of weekly payouts there. Henry, for those who didn't get to read it, would you mind giving kind of a quick overview of kind of the comment you made and the brief of the proposal? Maybe mic check.
Henry, you're muted if you're talking. Uh-oh. Okay, there he is.
Bueller.
Oh, back
Sorry.
on mute.
Go ahead, Henry. It's
Okay,
you. We're ready.
Oh, sorry. I thought Clayton wanted to say something about the comment I made. So like I wrote this the proposal. It's kind of like a three-phase proposal. So there are like three different proposals in one document. I'm going to paste the link in the text of now for anyone that has actually not opened it yet. But it's kind of like just because of the discussions that we've been having lately, and then we had like an academic call today, and Coach hijacked the call, and we're discussing about roles and all of that. So I just wrote up something quick because I feel we need to get this sorted immediately. Like, I mean, as soon as possible, because it's kind of a bottleneck for the onboarding team. And we've not been able to like start working on like a process for onboarding. So I just want this to be sorted as soon as possible. So the first part of the proposal, apologies for the language I used, was that we might need to like um stop using like the superhuman cards, recruit cards, and the roles page, because like I feel they just make things a little bit complicated, because those are like three different pages that they're mainly used for like the same thing, and then people have issues with like uploading like their details, like, and then the link to like the lead pipeline or and all of that. So like it's a bit confusing. So I was thinking of something very very simple, just like one simple table that has everyone's name, their responsibilities, their roles, and all of that. So it's kind of like just one big database that we could break down into like um two or three pages. So like there's one the our team page that has like everyone's names and just like their role and the team they are on. And if you go to each team's page, like let's say you go to the content team page, that same database, but on the content team, it only shows their content team duties. And then on the remuneration page, it only shows their weekly payment for that week. So it's like it's just one big database. So it is very, very easy to kind of like navigate and input your details. So that was like the proposal I had around the superhuman card, recruit card, and roles. And I feel like the main reason why we had the cards and role in the first place was so that everyone can see what a superhuman can do, like their details as well and what they are working on. And I feel with the recent Notion update that we made to like the page, that is actually very, very possible when you're navigating each team's member roles. So that's the first part of the proposal. The second part is the micromanage payments. So Chandler put out a post last week about how it is very, very stressful to like manually manage the payments to everyone and sending it individually to addresses. So I wrote like in my proposal that we make that to be micromanaged. So each team, so let's say the content team now, the coordinator of the content team in the remuneration page, like everyone goes there, fill out their performance level and their responsibility level, and then the total shows there. So the only thing that the coordinator has to do is just compile that list and get the total, then send it to the payment manager, which is Eaton. So Eaton sends like the lump sum to the coordinator, and then the coordinator uses Tipbot to distribute it to the members. That way, we have like more than we have like everyone working on that payment, so it's not just one or two people collating like the total sum and then sending it to their addresses. And then if we're using tip bots, like it kind of saves gas fees as well, and you could just do it right through Discord. While the third one was like automating Discord roles and Notion permissions and ditching the recruit tag. So like for that recruit tag, it's just like a suggestion. We actually don't need to do that. Like it doesn't really change anything. But I created like a post with cowboys on the Becoming Superhuman channel. So anyone can go there, like anyone can go there from like the general channel, someone that is not a superhuman, and click one of those emojis, and they would have access to the administration team. Let's say they click the administration team's emoji, they would have access to the administration team channel, the onboarding channel, the investor channel, and the layer and the campaigns channel. So it's that was created because it was very hard to like manually assign recruit roles to people, and we're losing some people because they would ask about roles and we would not get back to them on time. So if we could just direct them to the channel, it will be possible for them to have access to that channel immediately. Now, the next is the Notion permission. So at the moment, like it is, you can't edit a Notion page. Like you can't edit any Notion page except if you have like guest access to the page, or if you set the page to allow editing with through the link. So that means the person, anyone with the link that is not a guest, can actually edit the pages. Now that's very, very risky because we are getting recruits, we don't know where they are coming from now, and they have access to the channels like the Superman layer, and we post the links there. Anyone could just go there and delete everything on database, like mess up everything. So like I wanted us to set the permission so that like only superhumans have access to these pages, and they just submit their email address and they get added as a guest. So that's just like a brief overview.
Thanks, Henry. I'm kind of curious to hear from anyone else. Maybe Vari, just kind of like the one thing I don't have full appreciation for at this moment is whether this approach addresses everything. So for example, this idea of like self-assigning roles, how does that does that mean you suddenly start getting paid just because you self-assigned a role? And then my other thing would be, actually, I'm just kind of curious in general if there's anything that this proposal doesn't seem to address that the card system does address.
I like it. I'll speak up if everyone else is being shy. Or Vari, I see you unmuted yourself. You can go first.
I suppose I see the advantage of the cards in that it's a way of us keeping a track of people who are actively involved and having their details with us.
Okay.
Coach, do you want to?
Those information.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Okay. I like the idea, Henry. I like where your head is at on it. I think there are a few things that it can address. I think that we need to take other teams into consideration as well. I know in terms of the governance conversation and stuff like that, I know there are teams that are looking into like boardroom and other solutions that could manage that kind of stuff as well and automate the decision making and the payment process. And I don't know if it would mitigate concerns about fees, both from the UMA side and people withdrawing from Discord. I'm not familiar with it. I can't speak to it. My concern would be just making sure that all of the teams that are working on different components are collaborating and talking together. We don't want to run into a left hand not talking to a right hand spot where there's been a bunch of research done that commingles with each other, and decisions being made that kind of just neglect the value of the other research being present. My big concern with allowing anybody just to kind of wander in and assign a role, outside of what's already been mentioned, is I do not see that positively impacting the integrity of the brand, right? Is there's all this emphasis around education and streamlining the roles and the processes. If we were to just open it up so that everybody could take a role, there's huge brand risk there without people knowing actually what we do and how we operate and how to just approach other communities about it in a positive light, way that we do. So we definitely, all of the training and the education resources that we're looking into right now would kind of just be null and void if we took that approach. There's something there and it is a good foundation. And I think if we rallied as a community around it, we can get these big nagging issues wrapped up so that we can all move on. The integrations and the fun stuff that we love doing.
Thanks, Coach, for the perspective. I think I share some of the same thoughts. I like that it simplifies things. I'm worried if we silo it out to, I think, Henry, what you said is like team leads or team, coordinators or something. I think there's a lot of gray, right? Like I look at someone, Fruity, I think you do an awesome job of like having hands in a lot of different areas. And so I don't know, I think even around some of the governance conversation, I think people don't fall cleanly into the teams. It looks like there's a couple comments in the text hubs. I'd be interested in like what the barriers are. Vari, I kind of agree. I know this is, I'm not taking one stance, but I agree with your point that like if we go back to this simple one database, it reminds me of the really early like talent wanted page where people are supposed to just sign up and no one ever really used it. I do think it's helpful providing like a little more detail or structure or like what ifs. Um, and kind of one of the main things I'm hearing is like on payment remuneration, like it's a lot of work. I would just propose that we track that over time and then just do one distribution, whether it's TipBot or end of the cycle or something like that, so you don't have to worry about it on a week over week basis. If you could just track it in a Notion if it's self-reported anyway. But I'm interested like what the other actual barriers are. I think, Coach, to your point, like yeah, we want to protect the integrity of like the brand and make sure people know what we're doing. I think there's just an intentional balance there too of making sure that people feel welcome and it's easy to get involved and there's just a clear path to do that, right? So I think it sounds like the education onboarding team have already laid some of those things out. But my I guess balancing perspective there is I'm all for the process as long as it's easily understandable for someone to kind of jump in and follow and it doesn't create a barrier to getting engaged.
I would speak out in just in positivity with regard to reducing platforms. I think that could be hugely beneficial. I think one way forward, if to me that's where we decide, like that's the decision point here is like, does reducing platforms make it enough of a benefit that we want to find mitigations for these other barriers? And I think we could find mitigations. The culture risk or the brand risk that Coach mentioned, I think we could basically we could create some sort of requirement or barrier before you can actually self-assign a role. Like I actually think we do need that, and I think we can actually do that in a Discord setup. The other thing around profiles, it'd be easy to find a mitigation there, including using the profiles in Discord. There's a profile option you can use in Discord now. The other concern around, what was the other concern? Those are the two I was thinking of. But generally, I'm just saying, like, yeah.
Clayton, could you speak to the payment piece? I've heard a few conversations now. Is it just the overhead of like manually distributing to addresses and tallying on a weekly basis?
Look, I happen to really like the idea of using the tip bot. However, like I don't think managing the payments is that difficult. I don't think solving that problem is that difficult. If we just want to keep it layer one payments, not that it has to stay layer one. I shouldn't have said that. If we just want to keep it, direct payments, I think we can, and we can sort the admin side of it pretty easily and get some help. That's the main reason. I think sort of the other reason to me is like, I would love to be able to send messages that say like, tip Rathers, tip in a little while, tip Henry, tip Coach, each, 10 U'd out each, and have that be public. I just like the idea of it being sort of native and fun and part of the whole, I don't know, then maybe people are tipping each other with them. I just like it better, but the custodial concern is taken seriously. A charge led by Bits and Brews, I think. Yeah. Anyway, that's the answer to that. Someone else can speak to it because I don't actually run the payments.
Bits, if there's something, if there's any issues, Bits, I'd love to get with you on that. And the other thing I just wanted to mention was Clayton. I think that's if you could do onboarding like everything directly from Discord, make it streamlined, make it fast, make it fun, make it engaging. I think that would make everything 100 times easier. I personally don't know how you do that. Good luck, Bari, or whoever's trying to organize that. But I think that would be get it all done right here in one place.
To just answer about like the role self-assigning for roles. Yeah, like Clayton mentioned, we could definitely have like a barrier. Like you need to maybe like that would depend on the onboarding team. So like the way I designed it, I was hoping that like the onboarding team would decide what the person has to do before they actually have access to like the becoming a superhuman channel, before they can self assign themselves a role. just to make it kind of like automated, because like assigning roles is actually like a very it just takes time, and sometimes people get lost, like no one has like response to them or assign the role. That's just the point.
You could just give access so that any superhuman or somebody with a certain level, and then make it a team initiative to hand out roles. It doesn't have to be complicated. As for tipping culture, tipping. That's definitely a cultural thing that it takes time, and it just takes a handful of people to start it. But with enough time and with enough people participating, tipping can be a big part of the culture.
Yeah, it was really successful with the UTVL one last time around. I guess I'm keeping an eye on time for today. We're about halfway through. But some of the summary, I don't want to speak for everyone, but it sounds like in general there's favor for exploring simplifying the process while still having a couple pieces of uh, governance in place, right, to ensure. Coach, I like your idea, even if it's just a layer of like QA from the superhumans in general, then someone's vouching or approving that role, right? So I guess next steps, Henry, I know you have a draft proposal. I think some good discussion today. Are we comfortable with kind of refining that in a thread or a channel and putting it to a vote? Or do people have other opinions we want to voice?
My opinion is that we go ahead with what you're saying, EA, and make sure we move on so we don't take up too much time. I know that wasn't a very inviting reply, but if anyone else also wants to share something after I said that, you're
I
welcome.
was gonna give the 7 thoughtful seconds, Clayton, to see if anyone else had a strong opinion, and then we'll move on.
Well, anyone else has a chance to speak. Yeah, that's funny.
All right, we'll keep moving then.
EA, as you're managing the agenda rolling on, one thing that I did want to try to make some space for on today's call is specifically the governance, or sorry, the kind of like DAO formation conversation that happened over the weeks past.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot. There's a couple other community discussion topics, and we'll skim. I don't think any other announcements need to take up time here. So, I think Coach Rathers, Henry, Britt all had some conversation around this. Do we want to take maybe 10 minutes of the call and talk through kind of next steps? Coach, maybe I'll volunteer you. Do you mind kind of giving a quick update or overview of where things are at in the ongoing iteration of what that looks like?
I think we've done a pretty good job of summing that up already on the call up to this point. And I've said it a couple times today. I think it's worth noting again. I think all of these conversations that we're kind of trying to compartmentalize, we're almost putting ourselves in a position where we're trying to cut off our own limbs, type deal. I think all of these conversations, uh, I love them. They're awesome. We need to have them, but I think they're all a part of the bigger governance issue that we're trying to solve. I mean, I know like education and onboarding are going to be working on their things to make that process smoother. Like everything that we're trying to decide on has either a positive or a negative impact on everything else we're trying to decide on. So I think these are all very big conversations that we do need to have.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a tough balance, right? From my perspective, I think we talked about this back in March or April to a degree where it was a group of folks before I think I would even say like some of the formality of the superhumans came together and there was a lot of fun energy and socialization, but I think part of the complete decentralization lacked any kind of direction or roles, which I think has been a positive thing. I think there are also considerations that come along with that. I know one of the big conversations this past week was kind of the inactivity proposal that was brought together, and I think really good iteration on it, even though it was maybe less efficient than it could have been. I got Fruity. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, this all started from a conversation from the lead review call. And we're trying to combine basically when we campaign for protocols, we should be bringing in ambassadors such as Coach and Wraithers. It increases our chance of success at actually getting integration, i.e., the bankless KPI coming up, and Wraithers having Wraithers and Poopster having a good grasp on what is going on with Cheetah. So we were basically brainstorming like, okay, how do we start the process? And we were talking about payments. Do we just make them L2 ambassadors? And that's where the poll and the vote came in. Coach and I were moving pretty quick on this because we saw the value, but the way we went about the vote without putting a proper proposal and getting at least a conversation started for at least a few days or something really backfired on us and caused the vote to collapse. So we're in this weird state where how do we move forward? I mean he's right. This is a huge conversation that we really need to have because there's really no solid answers right now and we're stuck. So
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
a big part of what went into the inactivity conversation is, I mean, and this ties into the decentralization, centralization conversation and everything else, is different roles right now have different responsibilities and different time commitments. So the level threes wanting to perform and do what they're good at are moving at light speed as crypto typically does. Whereas the L1s, we love you guys, but some people only check in maybe for like an hour or two a week. And rightfully so, they want their opinions heard. But it's creating a major bottleneck in trying to solve a lot of these issues. So the bigger conversation around the inactivity versus activity is, what's our marching pace going to be? Do we need to decide on one big nagging problem every single Monday on the community call, so that we have a whole week to talk about it, so that everybody has a chance to be heard and throw up a vote on a Friday? So that we can create more of a balance between the people who are super engaged, almost putting in like full-time hours in a sense back here, and still keep the people engaged that can't commit that amount of time back here. It really stemmed into a larger, it's really a part of the bigger governance conversation, the whole activity and activity. And then it ties back into the roles and what's expected of different people in different roles, and how urgently some of these problems are that we need to solve.
Yeah, so I guess two pieces there, right? One specifically on the inactivity proposal, and then one on the overall kind of governance of how we make changes or what those expectations are for proposals or decisions that need to be made. I guess I'll piece the two out for the purposes of the discussion. My understanding was after the thread for the inactivity piece, it sounded like, trying to look at it right now, most people seemed comfortable with the updated proposal that I think was based on your guys' starting point, some feedback thoughts, Britt put some thoughts together. Do we feel like we're at a place to update or ratify that proposal?
That needs more conversation. It was thrown up on the weekend when our activities are generally lowest. So that deserves more conversation this week for sure, just to make sure that everybody's synced and on page and we all agree.
Cool. So our goal for that one will be to decide this week. I think we have a really good starting point for it. Do we have someone on point to bring that back up, or do we just want to ping the SuperUMANs on the proposal to make sure there's the right degree of visibility?
It wouldn't hurt to throw up an announcement and throw up a couple pings. I'm sure Fruity and I can continue to rally the conversation.
Yeah, I'm happy to help too, Coach. I think appreciating the work you guys put in. I personally think it's in a really good spot now, and at least people who had strong opinions voiced it. But I think you bring up a really good point. We want to make sure we get the right visibility.
Yeah, and then the other thing to consider is if we do decide to move to more of like an all-in-one platform, like Boardroom or whatever, a lot of these plans are going to have to be revamped and maybe start over from ground zero. So yeah, we have a lot of conversations that build each other up and tear each other down. We should be mindful to come up with a solution that we're not redoing a bunch of work if we can help it.
Yeah, that makes sense. With the broader question of governance, I feel like we're, um, I don't know, we'll continue to iterate on it, but I actually like your idea. I think if there's something urgent, then, I don't know, bring it to the people's attention, bring it to the UMA team if we have to move forward. I think that can be kind of enough general consensus, but I think there's few and far between in my mind something that couldn't wait like a week to get decisions. So we could definitely hold a space on this call, and that in my mind a reasonable expectation could be that there's like conversation, draft proposal, people are expected to cover that, and then we do kind of a recap, any final opinions, and uh, ratify or make decisions on key topics as part of the agenda for this.
Yeah, like there's a number of ways to go about it. The whole starting a conversation Monday with the intentions of a proposal and vote on Friday was just a quick solution. The way that I look at things is if we chase perfection, perfection is the biggest enemy we all have. It's just procrastination. It's fear stopping us from taking action. So I, at least personally, the way I operate is I don't look for 100% solutions. I always look for 80% good enough solutions, because no plan survives contact with the enemy. Everything looks good on paper. Once you start executing it, it's always another story. So the way that I keep myself innovative and fresh, and it might be worth ingraining that into the culture here as well. Instead of looking for perfect solutions, find that 80% good enough, and just never stop running it through feedback loops, because it's never a full solution. Always ask yourself, like, is it working? Yes or no. If it's working, can it be improved? Yes or no. If no, leave it alone. If it's not working, ask yourself yes or no. Like, can we make it work? If the answer is no, just cut it and start looking for a new solution. But that way, we're always keeping ourselves agile and flexible and innovative. We're not putting ourselves in a position to be like, "Oh, it's a perfect solution. We're good." And 10 years later, we're belly up. you know?
Yeah, completely. I mean, I think I would say that aligns with the culture of this group as well. I know I'm not the voice of it, but I think the past X months, we continue to iterate on process and people and things like that. And that changes over time too, right? The needs change. So I'm on board. I guess if there's not opposition, do we want to try and just say we'll move forward with that as like a general plan and just revisit it over the next couple weeks?
Yeah,
Can I
unless
get
anybody has strong opinions against it. Fruity, how do you feel about that? I know you felt like that might be a little bit too much time, but we can try that just to see if that finds a bit more balance.
No, I mean, yeah, originally I definitely thought that was too much time, but then, having very enlightening conversations that day that we put that vote up with many superhumans, yeah, let's take those 2 weeks.
No, 1 week, bro. 1 week.
Okay, bro.
I like it.
All right, cool. Clayton or anyone else, were there other things specific to the governance activity? I think the two takeaways I have today are like, we have a very basic process to bring proposals forward now. And it sounds like we're going to iterate a little bit further on the inactivity proposal, but hoping to get more awareness around that based on the updated changes from this weekend.
Cool. Thanks for that. I realized I kind of missed something. You were talking about I thought people were talking about the QiDao integration vote, and then we were talking about SuperUMANs voting. So I was confused if we were talking about an event that happened in a different community, or is that just in our community?
We're just talking on trying to find a consensus on how we do things and how we get things done to mitigate the concerns and bottlenecks around those of us, me and Fruity are going to raise our hand to name a couple that move way too fast for other people to. So the conversation was more, how can we establish a consensus process and a system that everybody's happy with so that people no longer feel left out or
Gotcha. And so this thing, someone mentioned this thing about a vote coming through quickly and then it collapsing on itself. You're referring to the inactivity proposal.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That was literally the single piece of understanding I somehow missed. Very good. Thanks for the link, EA.
Sure. And I know I mentioned it in text a couple of times, Fruity and Coach. I think they're, all this is about iterating. I think you guys keep saying we move too fast. I actually think there's a time and a place for it. I think the specific one, I know there were some strong opinions around it, but as we work through what this process looks like, I'm sure we'll come across a need for an exception or something more urgent and figure it out as a group. So just, I guess, recognition for your guys' effort around that and trying to keep the urgency high, knowing the limited time and the goals that we have.
Yeah, man. Nothing's set in stone. It's all iterative. It's all negotiable.
All right. If no one else has strong thoughts on the governance stuff, then I think wanted to shift to a couple updates. I know we are sponsoring the hackathon. Been soliciting a couple ideas for prizes. Fruity, you're going to be kind of the liaison for that over the next month. Hopefully that's not an update that anyone hasn't seen. Do we need any additional decisions? Do we still need ideas? Just want to make sure we had space to cover that, knowing it'll be a big event and time commitment over the next month.
Yeah, this is a huge deal. There is definitely potential to get, who knows, maybe a few integrations if we really kind of game plan around this. We have probably like 8 to 10 potential prize ideas. I mean, you guys have really pumped out some great stuff. Let's see. Let me just name a couple here at least. So Sean G KPI, basically saying a non-technical prize where our focus would be on KPI options for a university and allowing someone to come in, look over, exactly what the KPI is and put an entire proposal together that any one of us could go up to a university and be like, hey, like, check this out. We're highly interested. These are our contacts. Like, how can we set up a meeting? Can we talk about this, etc.? And then there's other ideas such as, let's see, building a Discord bot that relays from Boardroom Governance API to Discord, allowing a smooth governance process. So basically going from soft consensus, community buy-in, final vote, all being done using Boardroom and Discord. I mean, that would be amazing. And that's one of the technical ones. I mean, there's so many more, guys. So if anyone has an idea for a hackathon prize, please go ahead and chime in the hackathon prizes under the SuperUMAN layer. It's a thread, so would really appreciate that.
Really love everything that's coming out of this, guys. Like, I honestly, when we started this hackathon project, I was like having trouble really thinking about what's going to be very relevant for us a little bit, and this is just blowing me away. And so I'm super pleased. 3D Cup, thank you for leading the charge, and everyone else, thank you for your input and ideation on it. It's really cool. I'm excited for it.
I'd love to just very quickly point out one idea which might, just because of the time factor, maybe you want to bring it up in this forum to consider, is the idea of using this partnership with other DAOs that are also sponsoring this, to maybe consider us doing sort of micro integrations, sort of like Flash micro integrations with those DAOs, to the extent of the prize money that they would want to dole out to the submissions or to the winners, and maybe consider doing like a micro KPI options adoption, or sorry, integration with them towards that prize money amount. And so just within the next whatever 8 or so days or 9 days, if that's something we want to do, there are some ideas also around for I think Gnosis, DAO House, and I think one or two others that I put up there, and would be great if that's something we want to pursue. It can possibly open up the right the longer term opportunities of integrations with these folks over time as well. So yeah, if that's something we're interested in doing, maybe we should get some folks on that quickly and start moving that along.
I fucking love that idea. I just really like that idea.
So just to get on the same page, we have exactly 1 week from today to like upload our prizes that we're looking at. So basically, we would just kind of go to all the other sponsors and kind of, I guess, pitch a little bit. Like, hey, are you guys interested in like a mini KPI equal to the amount of whatever reward you're comfortable with, so that we can just show you like how cool our products are. And I guess it's like a collaboration, right?
Yeah, very simply put, it'd be a collaboration, and the intent being to actually showcase our products and their products. So if you look at the ideas, for example, with Gnosis Safe, the idea was create a bunch of Gnosis Safes and then have the KPI option be again based on the metric of success, the level of success that the submission achieves in the hackathon. And then depending on what it expires to, that accordingly grants access to different Gnosis safes with varying amounts of collateral or varying amounts of tokens locked in it for as kind of a reward. So it shows off Uma's products, it shows off Gnosis safes, and all of that. So there's of course more details around that, and also options for the other partners. So it really comes down to which one wants to integrate with us or is excited about just exploring this opportunity, or everyone wants to go with halfway. Half will be their reward as it is, and half will be a KPI option also to kind of showcase their product. So yeah, just some ideas around that.
That's great. I mean, if we can put together like a few ambassadors and kind of make this like a campaigning situation, which this definitely is a campaigning situation, and start going like in the next few days and start pitching now before they start coming up with their prizes, I think that's definitely a priority.
Another kind of way, so 2 comments on this. One is that like I think this is a great way for us to game UDAO, and I mean game in the most friendly sort of way, right? Like these would count as integrations, and yet they're going to be like minor enough that they shouldn't have so much resistance. It doesn't require the all of sushi governance to agree on it. So I think it's awesome, but it is it's still in the spirit of UDAO, and it would help us bring home some like some good integrations. My question for you, Rathers, I guess, is like, it sounds like there's a couple ways we could approach this. One might be like we're focused on maybe the success of a particular product that a hacker builds, or you could just imagine like tokenizing somebody's hackathon award, basically. And so like the KPI might be like getting the most votes on so and so platform, and that's how they chose that. Basically, turning somebody's hackathon prize into a KPI option. Is that what you meant, or is it different than that?
Yep, pretty much that. You could also probably, and again, I'm not too clear as to how the hackathon is set up in terms of the scoring or the selection of winners. But the intent, I mean, one way you could do it if it is sort of run that way is that all submissions automatically get KPI options of a certain level or a certain kind. And then depending on the level of success they achieve as they grow through the rounds of scoring or whatever it is, at the end of it they end up with obviously a higher level reward if they got higher score, and they end up with like a minimal reward if it is considered. And of course, if there are rounds, if there's eliminations or so on, then only those probably in later rounds even get access to these KPI options. I think there's, as I said, there's a bit more nuance to it we have to figure, but just putting it out there so that if we need to move fast, we should probably think about doing that right away.
Sure. And like, what's cool about this too is I could actually imagine us offering to like match somebody's KPI option if they were willing to go this route. As long as they fund it, it's going to meet the criteria of the UDAO So like if we said, hey, we'll put in 2K, if you put in 2K for this KPI option, that'll be associated with this prize, etc. It's kind of funny because it becomes a meta project because like you could almost imagine asking the hackers to build this, although it would almost be too late at that point because it would have already started. But yeah, overall, I like the idea a lot, and I'd like to tie down a couple easy wins from this if we can, with regard to UDAO.
Cool. Hope we can move ahead on that.
Cool. Great stuff. Yeah, I think really kind of unique idea there. All right, so if anyone else has ideas or thoughts on how to help move that forward, reach out to Fruity, and I'm sure there'll be some more information coming up here in the near future. It looks like we have about 9 minutes left. I wanted to save time to do kind of a quick run through on campaign activity. I know we talked through a couple moving pieces, but I will start talking in a minute if no one else has anything. People feel free to jump in with updates. I know there is a handful of things that were addressed this week.
Also, just want to highlight that Sean had something to share about the brand and marketing.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Clayton, and hello, everyone. Yeah, we're working together. So Clay and I have been working together for a few months now, but something that we've realized and that we're still in the strategy and planning stages right now is talking about how do we brand the SuperUMANs, because a lot of the content that is being created is fantastic, but it is. Yeah, there's some confusion as far as how does this roll up into the official UMA brand. So if you think about UMA, it's academic, it's high finance. SuperUMANs is we're intelligent, we're exciting, it's very cutting edge. So we're trying to figure out how do we brand this, and the idea is that UMA or that the SuperUMANs are a sub brand of UMA. So we're going to be putting together kind of like what this could look like in strategy and how this is actually applicable through, do they have their own colors? Do we have our own logo? Because I know we've got everything from Lego to chickens to, kind of name it. So we're still in the planning stages, but we're going to be rolling more of that out to everybody here, and definitely want the feedback from the community. There's quite a few questions that we're going to want to pose to the group. But at least wanted to let everybody know that's something that we are planning right now, because all the great content that we're putting together, we want it to all look like it's coming from the same team, regardless of who it is that's putting it together. So more to come on that.
Just want to jump in here and say I'm super bullish on the chicken and the egg. I love how that came about, like, organically, and so I would be all for that.
Excellent. I appreciate that.
Can't wait for the UMA contract where we can go long on the chicken or the egg or the Lego man.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. EA, I'll hand it back to you to open the door on the campaigns. And let's also not forget our PO app.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make people stay on to the last 30 seconds to get that PO-up code today.
Yes, sir.
All right, so integrations. I'll start off. I think one of my goals this week is to finalize some follow-up on some warm leads we had from the UTVL campaign. I didn't put this in the agenda, but I followed up with Indexed Finance, Alchemics, and 88 MPH, and I guess a slight glimmer of positive news is Alchemics wants to schedule a call. Scoopy had kind of mentioned that they're still trying to get their head around some of the details, but previously they definitely saw the value proposition there. So obviously we need to fast track it with the UDAO timeline, and regardless, I think it would be a huge integration and something cool for the collaboration with UMA. But following up there, and then Indexed Finance is working on 2 rollouts of priorities on their platform, and then had a couple ideas to use KPI options to incentivize people to use some of their new vaults and things. Haven't heard back from 88 MPH and have a handful of others, but good kind of traction, or hopefully positive energy and momentum there. I know lots of conversation on Cheetao. I guess, Rathers, I know you had some next steps on that. Do you want to provide a quick update or Do we feel like there's enough awareness around what's happening there?
Hey, am I audible? Yeah, I think there is. I think we're good overall. We discussed it also on the Leads review last week. So, yeah, not too much to cover. Yeah.
In a little while, I don't know if your mic is working. I know there's a couple things related to Aave and Shapeshift that are kind of in the works that you're badgering and following up on. All right, I'll give you a minute to see if you can speak.
He's typing it out on the text hub I can see. So I think we'll just wait for that update.
All right. Anyone else have moving pieces for campaigns that they want to touch on? Nathan commented on potentially working with CreatorDAO. I think more collaborative nature than like potentially integration, but I think it's a cool idea. I know they're helping a handful of projects right now and could be good to continue to kind of leverage synergies amongst different groups. I kind of mentioned it with the POAP team, CreatorDAO, UMA, kind of already what we're doing with the Bankless DAO. I think when I think about different benefits and kind of DAO to DAO relationships, that could be another cool one.
Yeah, I can add there. The one call I did hijack intentionally today was the bankless treasury call. Treasury's definitely interested in learning more about the tokens and exploring the range tokens. Bankless is also starting a VC DAO, and the people who are coordinating that, they have a ton of questions that I can't answer because I am not qualified or knowledgeable enough. So if somebody wants to peep around there, there was one earlier today about how our tokens are getting handled in the States and if they would be deemed as security by using our token options and a bunch of stuff like that. That's way above my skill level. And if somebody wants to jump in around there, that would be super cool and give me a hand with that. There's a few potential integrations. Where it stands right now with the other integrations over there is they're doing a temperature check with investors, VCs, hedge funds, and that kind of stuff, and seeing what kind of appetite is out there in their networks to be doing some sort of a cap raise.
Awesome. And then it looks like a couple other updates. In a little while, I'm going to do my best, but feel free to correct me over text. It looks like Olympus DAO wants to do an AMA this week, continue conversations. I know Shapeshift had their governance call and trying to help them streamline between kind of two different range options rather than, or trying to help them streamline two different range option proposals into one proposal there too. I know Chandler's pretty involved. Looking at continued work with B protocol where there was a vote that failed to reach quorum, but potentially do like another AMA there. I think there was a lot that went into that vote and some conversation that there was still a lot of interest as well. And then finally, Real Tuna, if you want to speak, feel free to hop up here. But I know continue. It looks like there's a new, I don't know, forum post that I think you would ask to bump on the pool together one, and then some moving pieces with Llama there. So kind of waiting what the outcome of that looks like. Any final updates or asks for help on campaigns this past week or looking ahead to this week?
Yeah, real quick, where are we at with Gnosis? Does anybody have a heads up on that? I'd like to get that started if nobody's currently working on it. Okay, I'll take that as a go for it, Poopster.
We support you, Poopster. Get after it.
Hey, Poopster. Yeah, you could totally maybe go and also consider the hackathon prize piece that we discussed, like a micro integration to kick it off. So maybe just reach out to Fruity and me if you want to sort of circle back on that idea as well. Let us know.
If you want to, I'd love to have your help. If you want to help me work on it, I've got some insight on the project, and I'd love to fill you in.
Yeah, cool. I mean, if anyone else also any L1s, L2s.
Yeah, sure. If
else,
anybody else is interested, please ping me on it. I'd love to have as much help as possible. It's not super sexy or anything, but I think it'd be a low hanging fruit, to be honest.
I think it's super sexy. All right. Speaking of super sexy, Fruity, do you want to close us out with the POAP code?
Yes. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, First Blood didn't work quite right. So for this week, I hope we're going to hit a bullseye. So the code is bullseye, all lowercase, no space in between. Bullseye. Sweet.
Yeah, it works.
All right, cool. It sounds like we have confirmation from someone it works.
Yes. It's the only reason I come to these calls.
That's why I'm up
All right,
at
great.
6:30 a.m.
There you go. You're gonna have to switch your sleep schedule there.
My
Thanks,
DMs
everyone.
is
Any
my
final-
DMs is filled with literally nothing but people asking me for POAPs. Like they think I'm the they think I'm the representative now.
I wonder why
Did you
that
need
is.
to
I know I put myself in. I know I
You
did it
asked
to
for it.
myself. I know. Thank you everybody for attending. This has been awesome. I really appreciate everybody's time that y'all put in here every week. This has been really helpful.
Yeah, ditto.
Thanks, folks. Lots of love, fam.
Awesome.
Stay safe.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.